All right. So we talk a lot about, the different things that people need and why they need a coach and all that type of stuff and why they need somebody to walk them through this. Um, and people ask me like, well, can't they just do these things on their own? You can, it's possible. Like you can figure out how to run an actual real medical based keto diet. You can figure it out on your own and you can do it by yourself. It is possible. It's highly improbable. So when we're trying to find things for individual people, there's a lot that goes into it. So for instance, now I want to throw this one out because I want to make sure people understand this. I've talked about methylene blue, and methylene blue is fantastic. I think it's great. It does lots of awesome things for people who have mitochondrial dysfunction and stuff like that. Um, and GLP-1s, we've talked about those, and those are fantastic for diabetics. I like them for the dementia people who have high insulin resistance, and we need to break that down. It's fantastic for those people who are 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, over fat. We need to break that down. I think they're usable. They're functional for that. If you don't have these issues, you don't need to use the stuff. So if you don't have mitochondrial dysfunction, you shouldn't be taking methylene blue. If you have 10 pounds to lose, you shouldn't be doing GLP-1s, because these things, the risk reward on them isn't where it needs to be. So, if you don't need specific supplementation, you shouldn't be taking it. If you don't need testosterone, I talk about this a lot. You don't need more than enough. If you have enough, you don't need more. So there's a lot of these things that might not be right for you. Like carnivore diet might be phenomenal for your husband, your wife, your best friend, not for you. Like we use like one of my favorite diets in the world for fixing epilepsy, working on dementia, working on diabetes is an actual real, what we consider a keto diet. There's a lot of things that are keto that aren't keto. A keto diet is high fat, zero carbohydrates, and like 10%, 20% of your macro function is going to be protein. You give your body no choice but to use fat as a fuel source. And then as you start doing that, your body then starts making ketones, and that's highly beneficial to brain function. So, like the diet that I normally run and a lot of the people I work with run is a low carbohydrate, high protein diet. Your body's still making sugar from the protein. And so that's not a ketotic diet. It is really beneficial. It's easy to run. The foods are delicious. People see pretty significant weight loss. They still gain muscle function. Brain works just like normal. They don't really see that different of the way they feel. They might have more energy, stuff like that, because they're cutting the toxins out. But it's not what I would consider like an epileptic or something we're using to actually fix a problem in the body. So when you actually like how you decide where these things are and like which ones you want to run, depends on, what your functional ability is, what your problems are, and what your goals are. It's keto diets are phenomenal. A real actual producing ketones keto diet are great. Again, not for everybody. Phenomenal. Like we have the most research on of any diet you can imagine. We have the most actual research on keto diets because we found out that they fix brain issues like epilepsy and dementia, and they fix biochemical issues like diabetes. We figured this out over 100 years ago. We've been using keto diets to fix epilepsy for a long time. It is the number one treatment we have for epilepsy, even versus anticonvulsants. Because it'll actually fix it. Like there's a lot of research where it's shown someone had horrible epilepsy. They walked them through properly on a keto diet for, a couple months, 6-8 months, a year. And then they came off the diet and they never had any seizures again. So it's one of those things that you can use, according to the research, you can use to fix or cure epilepsy. You can definitely use it to fix or cure diabetes. All these things have been shown over and over and over again in research. We've done it with diabetes several times. And it's the best course of treatment for dementia. Now, when I say that, I want to make sure that we're framing these things properly. The dementia I've worked on, the dementia I've had great success for, if you're in the dementia world, the MCI of like 4 and below, we've had great success with. 5's questionable. I haven't worked on anybody over 5. So if you know what those mean, that's kind of where we're at. So by the time that you're drooling on yourself in a nursing home, that's not the people that we're fixing. It's the people where you definitely have it, but you're still kind of waiting for things to get worse. Those are the ones it works phenomenally on. But again, because the reason that the way that metabolically you treat dementia is you fix the diabetes and you fix the issues with cholesterol. And the way you fix the issues with the cholesterol is you give the body high end, healthy, really clean nutrients to make the cholesterol out of. So when we have cholesterol problems like plaquing in the arteries and the stuff with the brain, it's not that the cholesterol is bad. Cholesterol is not bad. You can have as much as you want to. It's not bad. As much as you want to within normal physiological parameters. Like if you have 300, you have high, total cholesterol, 350, something like that. You could be 100% healthy. You could be very unhealthy at 90 or 100 total cholesterol. Like you have them within the range and you could be dying. You have it really high, you could be fine. It's the quality of the LDL. And so the quality of the total cholesterol function. And so keto diets will actually fix the diabetes issue and fix the cholesterol issue. Those are the two major pieces of issue we see with both diabetes and with dementia. And so it'll fix both of those issues. So, then you just have to regenerate and heal the brain. So an actual real keto diet's phenomenal for those type of individuals. Is it something that you could run on a daily basis? Yeah, you can. A lot of people can, a lot of people do. It's a little bit more difficult than say like a high protein, low carbohydrate, moderate fat diet. But it's all kind of depending on what your body needs. We talk about the somatotypes, we talk about ectomorphs and mesomorphs and endomorphs and how they really require a little bit different chemical set. Then you factor in lifestyle, like what you're doing, how often are you going out and entertaining clients or whatever, like how often do you travel? We got to start fitting things into your life. But, there is a diet for a person that's going to be best for them. And oftentimes it's one of those things where you kind of have to hodgepodge things together to find something that's the optimal choice for them. So if you don't have somebody to walk you through how to figure this out and then walk you through how to, make it all fit in your life, that's what we do. So, we can help you with that. But if you're running a keto diet and you feel great and you're losing weight, fantastic, stay on it. If you're running a diet and you can't figure out where it's going, then, give us a call. We'll kind of help you kind of figure out how to fit it in your life. If you've got diabetes, if you have, high fasting insulin, if you have pre-diabetes, if you have those things and you're worried about them, give us a call. We'll help you walk this through so that we can fix it. Diabetes isn't a joke. It's not one of those things. A lot of people play with it and they're like, oh, I've got it, but it's not causing me problems. Those not causing me problems, it is causing you problems. You just don't recognize the symptoms of it. So what we've got to work through, it can cause kidney failure, liver failure, heart attack, stroke. It obviously causes dementia and Alzheimer's. That leads into those things. So if you've got type 2 or you wonder about it, the way that you tell is you take a fasting insulin. Don't look at your overall glucose. A1C is not a bad thing to look at, but I would look at fasting insulin. That's the easiest way to tell. If your doctor's not pulling it, call us. We'll pull it for you. Those are the things that you've really got to start looking at, because long-term function, it's so much easier to fix things when they're small or when they're new. Like that is, I realize how silly that sounds. Like, well, everybody knows that. Yeah. But the problem is that most people aren't like scared enough to work on it until it gets really bad. And once it gets really bad, it's really hard to fix. Like we can still fix it, but it's hard. It takes longer. You've got to be more dedicated. So those are the things. So if you haven't worked with somebody to find the right diet for you, the right schedule of how you're sleeping, the supplementation you're taking, what exercises you're doing, what you're doing for your mental work, and some of this stuff we've been able to, get people all the way from start to finish on that stuff in 2-3 months. If you haven't done that, you're missing a lot of the things that you need to do for your health. And I tell people this all the time. People are like, I die for my kids. I'm like, that's easy. Like, that's not that big of a deal. Will you do the work to live for them? Will you be the example for them? Will you do the things that you need to do so that you're there mentally, you're there energetically, and you're there, from a fit function? I'm at that weird spot in my life where I'm 45 and we're watching our parents, and the friends of our parents and our uncles and stuff like that, start to age out. We're watching people. I'm having conversations with my friends about their parents, and they're like, I don't know, we're about to move into skilled care or nursing or these type of things. This is the point. Like, if you guys are looking at your parents, if you're looking at your uncles, if you're looking at these type of things, and you're watching their health, that's the path you're on. You're what we're seeing. I'm not saying that you, but what we're seeing is that this generation is going to get to that dementia state. We're going to get to that, chronic illness. We're going to get to that, that bad place sooner. So the things that we were seeing that were being the 80s, 90s issues, we're starting to see in the 50s and 60s and 70s. A lot of the things that we have in our food are making these things worse. A lot of the things we have, all the medications we're taking are making these things worse. So if you guys are in that set and you're starting to look at, your friends, parents, your parents, like the people around you, and like, man, this is terrible, I would get on it. And if you guys want to see some of this stuff, just go and be an observer. Like, go to some of these dementia support groups, go to some of these, elder care, memory care support groups, go to some of these like the diabetes where people are falling apart support groups, and listen to what these people say. It is, I'm in the middle of it. I talk to these people every day, and I still go to these support groups because I hear and I learn things from those people that isn't in the research. It's not what when you work with the docs and stuff like that, that's not what you're hearing. Um, it can be devastating. But go to the nursing homes, go look at these people, go talk to them, go figure out like how you're feeling, stuff like that. If your grandmother or your mom or something is like looking to go to these things, go and investigate them. Go talk to the people who are there, see how that feels. And remember, you're going to be there one day. So the care you take of your body right now depends on how you're functioning then. So take a look at that and kind of recognize what's going on. A lot of this stuff, is dietary change. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just so much change. You can start bleeding it in over time. Like, we've got people that we've walked into keto diets over 2-3 months because it was too much of a change. And so we changed some foods, and we changed some foods, and we changed some foods, and then bang, they were in it. And they're like, oh, it's easier to walk into it. Because the other thing is that most people are like, I don't know what to eat. I don't know how to do this. Well, you can either get a couple books and start reading them and then figure it out that way, or you can have somebody walk you through it. Now, here's the other problem. This makes everything just kind of go throw up in the air. There are things that are marked keto that might be keto for some people, but are not keto for others. A lot of the chocolate bars, a lot of the things that are out aren't. So a lot of the protein stuff that's marked keto may be for some and may not be for others. Like, here's the issue with running keto. This is why it's so hard. If you consume too much protein, especially protein that breaks down easily, your body won't get into ketosis. It'll stay in a sugar state. And so your body's still making sugar. It's still running on sugar. It's just making it. So you're consuming these high dense proteins that are easily broken down. And your body goes, cool, we'll just turn these into glucose and we'll use glucose instead of making ketones. So if you've ever you ever tried to run a keto diet and you couldn't get your ketone levels up, it's very easily the amount of protein you were consuming. It could also be the amount of fiber you're consuming. So, because fiber blocks absorption of different things. It's really good to block sugar. So that's why these low carb diets, these low carb, high protein diets are so easy. And they work really well for fat loss and building muscle and all that type of stuff. So those are fantastic. However, they're not real keto because you're not producing ketones. You're not running on ketones. So some of these things, as we start walking through, you might think you're in a ketotic state and you're not. So I've talked to people who are like, well, I tried to do keto because, I wanted to fix XYZ or I wanted to lose weight and it never worked for me. And you're like, did you check your ketone levels every day? And they're like, no. Well, if you guys don't look, you can't tell me that you were in or out of ketosis. So there's a lot of these things that you kind of have to be walked through to understand all the intricacies of them. But if you think you've got a little bit of mild cognitive impairment, if you're having issues remembering stuff, if you're having any of those things, if you take a self-assessment, like just Google self-assessment for memory loss, self-assessment for MCI or mild cognitive impairment, or self-assessment for dementia, take those things. And if it doesn't come back as 100% you're fine, I would start getting that looked at. And I would start working on that now. but I would start walking through some of these things early. The other thing is that, we keep seeing cancer after cancer after cancer that wasn't there. And then, oh my gosh, it's there. If you guys got vaccinated with COVID, I would highly recommend that you start working on something right now, because just because you don't have cancer now, just because you don't have any issues right now, doesn't mean you're not going to have them quickly in the next 2-3 years. So if you guys have seen these things, jump on. If you have friends who, might need to, recognize some of this information or get some of this stuff set up, get a hold of them, send this video to them. We can start helping them out. But this is the big thing. If we don't start taking control of our health, you're not going to have any. If you leave it up to the government, if you leave it up to what the FDA says, you're 100% going to be sick and miserable, because the FDA's job is to protect the pharmaceutical companies and get you on as much stuff as you can. And I will have that conversation all day long, because there's no evidence at all that the FDA is protecting individuals. They're protecting pharmaceutical companies 100% of the time. There's so many examples. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com. Drop them in the comments. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a nice day. Thanks for your time.